The bright blue glow of Earth filled the viewing screen as Captain Minho Lee watched his ship approach home. The Soul's Pride cut through space like a silver needle, its hull scarred from the long journey to the outer galaxy. 3 months ago, Minho had left Earth as humanity's first ambassador to the stars. Now he returned with news that would change everything. Behind him on the bridge, his crew worked in silence. They all knew what the message in their ship's computer meant. The weight of it pressed down on everyone like a heavy blanket. Minho touched the data crystal in his pocket. Such a small thing to carry such terrible news. "Sir, we're getting a signal from Earth Defense," called out his communications officer. "They want to know if our mission was successful." Minho stared at the beautiful blue marble growing larger ahead of them. How could he explain that success and failure had become the same thing? They had found other life in the galaxy, hundreds of different species living together under something called the Galactic Council. But the price of joining this community was higher than anyone on Earth could have imagined. "Tell them we need to speak to President Song immediately," Minho said. His voice sounded tired even to himself. "This message can't wait." 2 hours later, Minho stood in the most important room on Earth. The Oval Office of the United Earth Government buzzed with activity. President Yuna Song sat behind her desk, her dark eyes sharp and focused. Around the room, Earth's most important leaders had gathered for the emergency meeting. Admiral Jinu Park stood near the large window that looked out over the city. His uniform was perfect as always, but his weathered face showed concern. Next to him, Dr. Sora Kim adjusted her glasses. As she reviewed data on her tablet, the young scientist had been studying faster than light travel for years. Engineer Hana Choi sat quietly in the corner, her mind already working on problems that hadn't been spoken yet. "Tell us what you found out there, Captain," President Song said. Minho activated the hologram projector in the center of the room. The image of a massive space station appeared, floating in the darkness. Strange ships moved around it like metal fish swimming through an ocean. Some of the vessels looked like nothing humans had ever imagined. "This is Galactic Council Station, Prime," Minho began. "It's located in the Andromeda sector, about 50,000 light-years from Earth. The station is home to representatives from 847 different species." Dr. Sora Kim leaned forward. 847? That's incredible. The diversity of life forms must be amazing." "It is," Minho agreed. "But there's something else. Something much more important than the number of species." He touched a control, and the image changed. Now they saw a being that looked like it was made of living crystal. Its body reflected light in patterns that hurt to look at directly. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. "This is High Arbiter Veltar, the leader of the Galactic Council. He gave me a message for Earth's government. A message that every new species receives when they develop faster than light travel." The crystal being began to speak. Its words had been translated into human language, but the tone remained cold and commanding. "Greetings, young species of the third planet. Your recent achievement of hyperspace travel has brought you to our attention. The Galactic Council has maintained order among the stars for over 3,000 years. This order comes with responsibilities that all member species must accept." President Song's hands tightened on her desk. "What kind of responsibilities?" The message continued. "Your species will provide tribute to the Council as payment for using our hyperspace lanes and accessing our trade networks. This tribute will consist of 60% of your annual resource production, complete sharing of all technological developments, and surrender of all military vessels to Council authority." The room fell silent. Admiral Park turned from the UA window, his face dark with anger. 60% of our resources? That's insane. We'd barely have enough left to feed our own people." "There's more," Minho said. He didn't want to continue, but they needed to hear everything. "Species that refuse to pay tribute are considered hostile to galactic peace. The Council has enforcement fleets that deal with hostile species." Dr. Sora Kim stood up suddenly. "Captain, did you get any information about their technology, their weapons systems?" "Some," Minho replied. He called up new images. "Their ships are large and powerful, but their designs haven't changed in hundreds of years. I managed to scan several vessels while we were at the station. The data is all in the ship's computer. Engineer Hana Choi spoke for the first time. Unchanged designs could mean their technology has stopped growing. They might be using the same systems their ancestors built. Or it could mean their technology is so advanced they don't need to improve it, Admiral Park said. President Song looked around the room at her advisors. What's our timeline for responding? Minho's face grew even more serious. 72 hours. High Arbiter Veltar said that's standard for all species. After that time, enforcement action begins. And where is this enforcement action coming from? Admiral Park asked. Already on the way, Minho said. A council fleet left the station 6 hours after I did. They'll be at the edge of our solar system in 2 days. Dr. Sora Kim was studying the data on her tablet. Captain, these ship designs are interesting. Their weapons operate on very specific frequency patterns, and their shields seem to use technology that's actually quite old by our standards. What are you thinking, Doctor? President Song asked. I'm thinking that 3,000 years of being the strongest power in the galaxy might have made them lazy, Dr. Sora Kim said. When you don't have any real competition, you stop trying to improve. Admiral Park moved closer to the hologram. How big is this enforcement fleet? 200 ships, Minho answered, led by something called a war prime. The other species seemed very afraid of them. 200 ships against our entire space fleet, Admiral Park said. On paper, we don't stand a chance. Engineer Hana Choi stood up. Maybe we don't need to fight them the way they expect us to fight. President Song looked at each of her advisors. I want options. All of you work together and find me alternatives to surrender or suicide. Captain Lee, I want every bit of data from your mission analyzed. Dr. Kim, find out everything you can about their technology. Engineer Choi, Admiral Park, start thinking about what kind of response we can actually make. As the meeting broke up, President Song stared out the window at the city below. Millions of people going about their daily lives, not knowing that in 72 hours, everything might change forever. High above Earth's atmosphere, long-range sensors picked up the first signals from the approaching Council fleet. Humanity's time of innocence in the galaxy was ending. But perhaps, President Song thought, their time of real importance was just beginning. The question was whether they would live long enough to find out. The underground command center beneath Earth Defense Headquarters hummed with activity. 48 hours remained until the Galactic Council's deadline, and humanity was not preparing to surrender. Instead, Admiral Jinu Park stood before a massive, holographic display showing the entire solar system. Red dots marked the approaching Council fleet now just beyond Pluto's orbit. Show me the installation reports, Admiral Park said to the room full of officers and engineers. Engineer Hana Choi stepped forward, her tablet glowing with construction data. All sites are responding, Admiral. The Jupiter installations came online 6 hours ago. Mars facilities are at 90% capacity. The asteroid belt network activated this morning. Dr. Sora Kim looked up from her workstation where alien technology components lay scattered like puzzle pieces. Hana, what exactly are these installations? The energy readings don't match any defensive systems in our database. Admiral Park smiled for the first time in 2 days. That's because they're not defensive systems, Doctor. At least not in the way most people would think of defense. Across the room, Captain Minho Lee worked with a team of linguists and diplomats. They hunched over documents written in multiple human languages and several alien scripts. The message they were crafting would either save humanity or doom it completely. Captain, how's our response coming along? Admiral Park asked. Minho looked up, his eyes red from lack of sleep. Almost finished, Admiral. President Song reviewed the latest draft an hour ago. She said it was either brilliant or insane. In my experience, the best plans are usually both, Admiral Park replied. Dr. Sora Kim stood up suddenly, knocking over her coffee cup. The brown liquid spread across her desk, but she didn't notice. Her eyes were wide with excitement and something that looked like disbelief. Admiral, you need to see this, she said, her voice shaking slightly. Everyone in the command center stopped what they were doing. Dr. Sora Kim activated the main display. showing a detailed analysis of the Council ship designs that Captain Minho had recorded. "I've been studying their technology for 36 hours straight," she began. "Their weapons, their shields, their power systems. Do you know what I found?" Admiral Park moved closer to the display. "Tell us, Doctor." "Their technology is ancient. Not advanced ancient, just old ancient. These designs haven't been updated in over 1,000 years. Look at this." She pointed to a section of the analysis. "Their energy weapons use frequency modulation that we figured out was inefficient 20 years ago. Their shields operate on rotating harmonics that follow predictable patterns." Engineer Hana Choi joined them at the display. "Are you saying their technology is worse than ours?" "Not worse, just lazy," Dr. Sora Kim explained. "When you're the most powerful force in the galaxy for 3,000 years, you stop innovating. Why improve something that already wins every fight?" Captain Minho looked up from his diplomatic work. "But they have 847 species in their council. Surely some of them developed new technology." "That's the beautiful part," Dr. Sora Kim said, pulling up more data. "The tribute system discourages innovation. Why spend resources developing new technology when the council takes 60% of everything you produce? Most species probably gave up trying to improve anything centuries ago." Admiral Park felt something he hadn't expected to feel today. Hope. "Doctor, if you're right about this, how long would it take you to develop countermeasures for their weapons and shields?" Dr. Sora Kim looked at her watch. "I already have them. I've been working with the engineering teams all night. The modifications to our ship systems can be completed in 18 hours. Engineer Hana Choi's tablet chimed with an incoming message. She read it quickly, then looked up at Admiral Park with a grin. "Sir, the Jupiter installations just completed their first production run. We now have 47 new vessels ready for deployment." "Production run?" Captain Minho asked. "I thought those were mining platforms." "Cover story," Admiral Park explained. "What the Council thinks are defensive mining platforms are actually mobile shipyards. We've been building a new class of fighters specifically designed to counter Council technology." Dr. Sora Kim pulled up ship designs on her display. The new, human vessels looked nothing like traditional spacecraft. They were small, angular, and covered with equipment that seemed to bend light around their hulls. "These ships incorporate everything we learned from the Council technology samples," she explained. "Quantum field manipulation drives, adaptive energy shields, and weapons that can rapidly change frequency to penetrate their defenses." Engineer Hana Choi checked her tablet again. "Mars shipyards report another 30 vessels completed. The asteroid belt installations will have 60 more ready in 12 hours. Admiral Park turned to Captain Minho. "Captain, is our diplomatic response ready?" Minho nodded. "Yes, sir. President Song approved the final version. Should I begin transmission?" "Do it." Captain Minho activated the communication system. The message would be broadcast on all Council frequencies, ensuring that every species in their fleet would hear it. But more importantly, it would be relayed to the Galactic Council Station Prime, where 847 species would witness humanity's response. "This is Captain Minho Lee of the United Earth Government, responding to the Galactic Council's tribute demand," he began. His voice was calm and professional, but everyone in the room could hear the steel underneath. "After careful consideration, Earth's government has decided to decline the tribute arrangement as currently proposed. However, we do not wish to be seen as hostile to galactic peace. Therefore, we offer an alternative arrangement. 50 light-years away, on the bridge of the Council enforcement ship Dominant Fang, War Prime Crux listened to the human transmission with growing confusion. His 6 arms flexed impatiently as the translator rendered the human words into his language. "Humanity offers to provide military contracting services to the Galactic Council and its member species." Captain Minho continued. "We propose to serve as independent security specialists, offering protection services for trade routes, colony defense, and peacekeeping operations." War Prime Crux's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his species. "Humans offering to protect Council members. These creatures think they can negotiate from weakness. Back on Earth, Captain Minho continued the transmission. We believe this arrangement would be more beneficial to all parties than the traditional tribute system. Our proposal includes detailed terms for mutual cooperation, technology sharing on an equal basis, and joint exploration of unexplored galaxy sectors. In the command center, Admiral Park watched the transmission with satisfaction. The message sounded like a desperate attempt to avoid conflict, but every word had been carefully chosen. Hidden in the diplomatic language was a challenge that would force the Council to respond. Dr. Sora Kim checked her computer. "Admiral, I'm detecting energy buildup in the Council fleet. They're charging their weapons." Engineer Hana Choi looked up from her tablet. "All installations report ready status. We have 137 vessels prepared for deployment." Admiral Park nodded. "They don't understand what we're really offering them. War Prime Crux probably thinks we're stalling for time." Captain Minho finished the transmission. "Earth awaits the Council's response to our proposal. We hope this marks the beginning of a new era of cooperation between our species." The communication ended, and the command center fell silent. Somewhere beyond Pluto, 200 Council warships prepared for battle against a species they considered primitive. They had no idea that humanity had just offered them something no one had given the Council in 3,000 years. A real challenge. War Prime Crux stood on the bridge of his flagship, the dominant Fang, watching the human solar system grow larger on his screens. His 6 powerful arms moved across the control panels with practiced efficiency. Around him, his crew of insectoid warriors prepared their weapons with eager anticipation. "Report on human defensive positions," Crux commanded in his clicking language. His tactical officer consulted the scanner readings. "War Prime, we detect 17 installations around the large gas planet the humans call Jupiter. They appear to be mining platforms converted for military use. Very primitive construction." Crux's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. As expected from a young species, they think industrial equipment can stop Council warships. Behind him, Ambassador Theron shifted nervously. The telepathic humanoid had tried to convince Crux to wait for the human response, but the War Prime cared nothing for diplomacy. His species had served as the Council's military arm for over 2,000 years, and they had never met a foe they could not crush. "War Prime," Ambassador Theron said quietly. "Perhaps we should consider their proposal more carefully." The humans seemed confident in their transmission. "Confidence means nothing without power," Crux replied. "In 6 hours, this system will belong to the Council, and these humans will learn their place in the galaxy." 200 Council warships spread out in attack formation as they approached Jupiter's orbit. Each vessel was massive compared to human ships, bristling with energy weapons that had conquered 1,000 worlds. Crux felt the familiar excitement of battle building in his chest. Far below on Earth, Admiral Jinu Park watched the enemy fleet approach on his command center displays. Next to him, Dr. Sora Kim monitored energy readings from their hidden installations. Engineer Hana Choi stood ready at her control station, her finger hovering over the activation switch. "All stations. Report ready, Admiral," Hana said. "Broadcasting begins in 60 seconds, Captain Minho added from his communications post. Admiral Park nodded. "Remember, we want the entire galaxy to see this. Every species in the Council needs to witness what happens here today." As the Council fleet moved into Jupiter's gravity well, something unexpected began to happen. The 17 mining platforms that Crux had dismissed as primitive suddenly came alive with activity. Sections of their hulls split open like mechanical flowers, revealing interiors that glowed with blue energy. "War Prime," his tactical officer called out, alarm clear in his voice. "The human installations are changing configuration. Energy readings are increasing rapidly." Crux moved to the scanner display. What he saw made his confidence waver for the first time. The mining platforms were transforming into something else entirely. Manufacturing bays extended from their cores, and assembly lines that had been hidden inside began producing objects at incredible speed. "What are they building?" he demanded. His question was answered moments later as the first wave of human fighters emerged from the installations. These were not the crude vessels Crux had expected. They were sleek, angular craft that seemed to bend light around their hulls. Dozens poured out of each installation, moving with precision that spoke of advanced computer control. "Sir," his weapons officer reported, "I count over 400 small vessels launching from the human platforms." Crux's mandibles clicked nervously. 400 fighters was still no match for 200 Council warships, but their appearance had been completely unexpected. "Begin attack pattern 7. Target the human installations first." The Council fleet opened fire with energy beams that could melt asteroid metals. Brilliant lances of destruction reached out toward the human platforms. But as the beams struck their targets, something impossible happened. The energy simply disappeared, absorbed by shields that flickered with patterns of light no Council species had ever seen. "Impossible," Crux breathed. "Our weapons should have destroyed those platforms instantly." On Earth, Dr. Sora Kim smiled as she watched her adaptive shield systems work perfectly. "Admiral, their weapons are exactly as predictable as I calculated. Our shields are adjusting to their frequency patterns faster than they can compensate." The human fighters reached the Council fleet and began their attack. What followed was unlike any space battle in galactic history. The small human ships moved like schools of fish, darting between the massive Council vessels with impossible agility. Their quantum field drives allowed them to change direction instantly, making them nearly impossible to target. But more shocking than their maneuverability was their weapons. Instead of trying to destroy the Council ships, the human fighters used precision energy beams to target specific systems. Engine cores were disabled without breaching the hull. Weapon arrays were rendered useless while life support remained intact. Bridge controls were fried while crew quarters stayed safe. War Prime Crux watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet was systematically disabled around him. "How are they doing this?" he roared. "Our ships are 10 times larger than theirs." His science officer, trembling with fear, provided the answer. "War Prime, their technology appears to be specifically designed to counter our systems. They know the exact frequencies of our weapons and shields. They know the weak points in our ship designs." Captain Minho's voice suddenly filled the Council ship's communication systems. "Attention, Council fleet. This is Captain Minho Lee of Earth Defense. You are now witnessing the security services that humanity offers to the galaxy. As you can see, we are disabling your vessels without harming your crews." Crux tried to respond, but his communication systems had been precision-targeted and destroyed. Around him, ship after ship reported the same thing. Engines dead, weapons offline, but crew alive and unharmed. "Your fleet will be escorted to Earth's lunar orbit for repairs and crew exchange," Captain Minho continued. "We bear no ill will toward the crews following orders. However, this demonstration shows why the galaxy needs new approaches to security and defense." Throughout the battle, human communications arrays broadcast every moment to the galactic network. On 847 worlds, species that had never questioned Council authority watched in amazement as the supposedly inferior humans defeated the mighty enforcement fleet without killing a single enemy crew member. Engineer Hana Choi checked her production monitors. "Admiral, installations are producing the next wave of fighters. We'll have 800 vessels ready in 4 hours." Admiral Park nodded, but his attention was on the broader implications. "Dr. Kim, how are the shield systems holding up?" "Perfect efficiency, Admiral. Their weapons can't even scratch our installations now that the shields have adapted, and we're learning more about their technology with every shot they fire." As the last Council warship was disabled and taken under escort, War Prime Crux sat in his darkened bridge, trying to understand what had happened. His species had never been defeated in battle. They were the Council's sword, feared throughout the galaxy. Yet these humans had made his fleet look like children playing with toys. Ambassador Theron, whose telepathic abilities had been scrambled by human jamming fields, finally managed to speak. "War Prime, I believe the humans were trying to tell us something important in their proposal." Crux looked at the humanoid diplomat, his pride shattered. "What do you mean?" "They were not asking to serve the Council," Ambassador Theron said slowly. "They were offering to replace the Council." On Earth, President Unisong watched the battles end with mixed emotions. Humanity had won their first test, but she knew this was only the beginning. High Arbiter Veltar would not accept this defeat quietly, and 847 species were now asking questions about Council authority that had not been asked in millennia. But as she looked at the captured Council fleet being gently guided to Earth's moon, President Song felt something she had not expected: pride. Humanity had faced their first galactic challenge not with brutality or conquest, but with innovation and mercy. The galaxy was about to learn that humans fought differently than anyone else. They fought to protect, not to destroy, and that difference was about to change everything. The Council Grand Assembly Hall had never seen anything like this. For 3,000 years, the massive chamber had hosted routine meetings where tribute payments were discussed and new regulations were passed. Today, representatives from 847 species filled the curved seating areas, but the atmosphere was electric with tension and uncertainty. High Arbiter Veltar stood at the center podium, his crystalline body reflecting the chamber's lights in angry patterns. The ancient being had ruled the Council longer than most species had existed, and his authority had never been questioned. Until now. "The emergency session will come to order," Veltar announced, his voice echoing through translation devices in hundreds of languages. "We gather to address the unprecedented events in the Sol system and the human species' rejection of established galactic law." In the special visitor section, President Unisong sat calmly between Admiral Jinu Park and Dr. Sora Kim. The human delegation had arrived on a ship that had impressed even Council engineers with its advanced design. Captain Min-Ho Lee stood nearby, ready to assist with translations and diplomatic protocol. Ambassador Thyron, still shaken from his experience during the battle, rose from his seat. "High Arbiter, perhaps we should hear what the humans have to say before we decide their fate." A ripple of shocked whispers ran through the assembly. No one had ever suggested that tribute-refusing species should be given a chance to speak in the Grand Assembly. War Prime Crux, his pride still wounded from the defeat, clicked his mandibles angrily. "They destroyed a Council enforcement fleet. There is nothing to discuss except their punishment." President Song stood up slowly, her movement drawing every eye in the chamber. "High Arbiter Veltar, may I address the Assembly?" The question created an immediate uproar. Species representatives shouted in dozens of languages, some demanding the humans be removed, others curious to hear what they had to say. Veltar raised one crystalline arm for silence. "The humans may speak," he said finally, "but their words will not change the consequences of their actions." President Song walked to the center of the chamber, her footsteps echoing in the sudden quiet. She looked around at the assembled representatives, seeing fear, anger, and curiosity in equal measure. "Members of the Galactic Council," she began. "My name is Yuna Song, and I represent the people of Earth. We come before you not as criminals, but as partners offering a better future for every species in this galaxy." Veltar's light patterns shifted to show displeasure. "You dare speak of partnership after attacking Council forces?" "We attacked no one," President Song replied calmly. "We disabled vessels that were preparing to destroy our homeworld. Every member of War Prime Crux's crew survived and was treated with respect and care. Can the Council say the same about species who have resisted tribute demands in the past, the coup?" Question hung in the air like a challenge. Many species in the chamber shifted uncomfortably, remembering worlds that had been reduced to ash for refusing Council authority. Dr. Sora Kim stepped forward, activating a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. "Council members, may I show you something that will benefit every species here?" The display showed medical technology that made several representatives gasp in amazement. Healing devices that could repair damaged organs across species barriers, life extension treatments that worked on both carbon and silicon-based life forms, and cure protocols for diseases that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. "This is just a sample of human medical technology," Dr. Sora Kim explained. "We offer to share this knowledge freely with all species, not as tribute, but as partners working together." A representative from the Healing Guild, a species known for their medical expertise, stood up excitedly. Those regeneration techniques are impossible. Our best healers have tried for centuries to achieve such results. Nothing is impossible when species work together instead of competing, Dr. Sore, Kim replied. She changed the display to show energy systems that could power entire worlds using stellar collection methods. This technology could solve the energy crisis affecting 60% of Council worlds. Admiral Park joined the presentation, showing terraforming techniques that could create habitable planets in solar systems previously considered worthless. Human engineering can turn dead worlds into gardens. We can expand the living space available to every species by thousands of %. The chamber buzzed with excited conversation as species representatives realized what they were seeing. This was not the primitive technology of a young species, but innovations that surpassed anything the Council had developed in millennia. High Arbiter Veltar's light patterns grew more agitated. Impressive technology changes nothing. The law is clear. Species who refuse tribute must be brought into compliance. President Song turned to face the crystalline leader directly. High Arbiter, what if I told you that the tribute system is the reason Council technology has stagnated for the past 1,000 years? The accusation created another uproar. Veltar's body flared with angry light. The tribute system has maintained galactic peace for 3 millennia. The tribute system has maintained your power, President Song corrected. But at what cost? When you take 60% of every species' resources, they have no choice but to focus on survival instead of innovation. When you demand technological sharing without giving anything in return, species stop developing new ideas. Admiral Park activated new displays showing historical data. Council records show that major technological advances have decreased by 80% over the past millennium. Species have become dependent instead of creative. A young representative from a recently inducted species stood up. The humans speak truth. Since joining the Council, my people have stopped exploring new science. Why work to discover something that will just be taken away? Other voices joined in from around the chamber. Species that had been silent for centuries began to speak about the burden of tribute, the loss of innovation, and the slow decline hidden by artificial stability. Captain Minho stepped forward with a document written in galactic standard language. Earth proposes the formation of a new alliance. The human coalition would operate under different principles. Species contribute according to their abilities and receive according to their needs. Technology is shared freely, but species retain control of their development. Protection is provided without the requirement of surrender. This is revolution, Veltar declared, his voice carrying centuries of outrage. This is evolution, President Song replied. The galaxy has grown beyond the system that served it 3,000 years ago. Humanity offers a chance to move forward together. A representative from the manufacturing worlds called out, "What guarantee do we have that humans would not simply become new overlords?" Dr. Sora Kim answered by displaying human governmental structures. Our system prevents any single leader or species from gaining absolute power. Decisions are made by elected councils representing all member species equally. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Species representatives argued among themselves, some defending the old system, others intrigued by human proposals. War Prime Crux remained silent, his military mind still processing how completely humans had outmaneuvered his forces. Ambassador Theron finally stood up. High Arbiter, I request that my people be allowed to withdraw from this session to consider the human proposal. The request started an avalanche. Species after species requested time to consult with their homeworlds. Within minutes, over 100 representatives had asked for recess to discuss the human alliance. High Arbiter Veltar watched his authority crumble in real time. For 3,000 years, no species had questioned council decisions. Now, in UIE, a single day humans had convinced nearly a quarter of the galaxy to consider alternatives. As the session ended in chaos, President Song turned to her team. How many species do you think will join us? Admiral Park smiled grimly. Enough to change everything. Outside the station, human ships waited peacefully but visibly, their advanced technology a reminder that the old galactic order had already ended. The only question now was what would replace it. 6 months after the emergency council session, the galaxy looked completely different. Captain Minho Lee stood on the bridge of the Galactic Unity, humanity's newest diplomatic vessel, watching the construction of Haven Station. The massive space platform would serve as headquarters for the human coalition, and beings from over 200 species worked side by side to build it. Through the viewport, Minho could see ships from dozens of worlds bringing materials and expertise to the project. Crystalline beings from the mineral world shaped metal with their natural abilities, while insectoid engineers designed structural supports that could withstand any stress. Flying species moved equipment through the station's growing framework with grace that wheeled vehicles could never match. "Captain," called his communications officer, "we're receiving a priority message from Earth. President Song wants to speak with you." Minho activated the long-range communicator, and President Yuna Song's image appeared on his screen. She looked tired but satisfied, sitting in her office with stacks of alliance documents visible on her desk. "Captain Lee, how are things progressing at Haven Station?" "Better than we hoped, Madam President," Minho replied. "The cooperative construction methods are exceeding all efficiency estimates. When species work together instead of competing, they accomplish amazing things." President Song smiled. "That's exactly what we wanted to prove." "What about the integration of new coalition members?" "Smooth so far. The Healing Guild brought their medical knowledge, and Dr. Kim says we're already developing treatments that neither humans nor guild members could have created alone. The manufacturing worlds are sharing production techniques that will revolutionize how we build ships and stations." On Haven Station, engineer Hana Choi walked through the medical section, where Dr. Sora Kim worked with alien scientists. The Korean engineer stopped to watch a demonstration where guild healers were teaching human doctors how to regenerate nerve tissue, while humans showed the aliens how to use quantum field therapy to accelerate the healing process. "Hana, Doctor," Sora Kim called out, "come see this. We just cured a disease that has affected the Theron species for over 500 years. Hana joined the group around a medical scanner showing brainwave patterns from a Theron patient. "The neural pathways are completely restored," she observed. "How did you do it?" "Combination therapy," explained Dr. Sora Kim. "Guild healing techniques to repair the damaged tissue, human quantum therapy to stabilize the cellular structure, and Theron telepathic exercises to retrain the neural networks. None of our species could have solved this alone." Across the station, in the military planning section, Admiral Jinu Park worked with an unexpected partner. War Prime Crux sat across from him, his 6 arms moving across tactical displays as they planned the defense of a trade route that had been attacked by pirates. "Admiral," Crux said in his clicking language translated by the universal communicator, "I still do not understand your species' approach to warfare." Admiral Park looked up from the star charts they were studying. "What do you mean, War Prime? In our battle, you could have destroyed my entire fleet. Instead, you disabled our ships and treated our crews with honor. Even now, you ask for my help in protecting other species rather than demanding my surrender. Why?" Admiral Park leaned back in his chair. "Because destruction creates enemies, but cooperation creates allies. Your people are natural warriors, but you also have honor and loyalty. Those are qualities we respect and need in the coalition." Crux's mandibles clicked in what Admiral Park had learned was the equivalent of thoughtful consideration. "The Council used my species as weapons to maintain fear. You offer us the chance to be protectors instead of destroyers." "Exactly," Admiral Park confirmed. "The galaxy needs protection from real threats, not from species trying to improve their lives. Pirates, slavers, and resource thieves are the real enemies." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from the edge of Coalition space. A small mining colony was under attack by raiders using stolen Council technology. Within minutes, Admiral Park and War Prime Crux were coordinating a rescue mission that combined human tactical precision with the martial expertise of Crux's warriors. The rescue operation was completed in less than 4 hours. The raiders were captured, the miners were safe, and the stolen technology was recovered. More importantly, the entire operation was broadcast across the galaxy, showing how the coalition protected its members without demanding tribute or subjugation in return. On the former Council Station Prime, High Arbiter Veltar sat alone in his chambers. His crystalline body had dimmed considerably since losing control of the galaxy. Through his window, he could see coalition ships in the distance, their presence a constant reminder of how completely the old order had collapsed. Ambassador, Theron entered the chamber, his telepathic abilities detecting the ancient leader's depression and anger. High Arbiter, Theron said carefully, the Coalition Council has extended another invitation for the remaining Council species to join their alliance. Join them, Veltar replied bitterly. Become junior partners in our own galaxy. Perhaps, Theron suggested, it is time to consider that the humans were right. The tribute system had outlived its usefulness. Veltar's light patterns flared with old anger. 3,000 years of peace and stability mean nothing to you? 3,000 years of stagnation, Theron corrected gently. High Arbiter, in 6 months, the Coalition has made more scientific advances than the Council achieved in the past century. Species that barely survived under tribute demands are now thriving. Trade between worlds has increased by 300%. Because ships no longer fear Council enforcement fleets, Veltar turned away from the window. And what becomes of those who devoted their lives to maintaining Council authority? The Coalition offers positions to anyone willing to work for the common good instead of personal power, Theron replied. They need experienced administrators who understand galactic governance. Far from the political centers of power, on a newly terraformed world at the edge of Coalition space, children from 20 different species played together in schools that taught cooperation and innovation. Human children learned mathematics from crystalline beings whose minds naturally understood complex geometric relationships. Young insectoids taught other species about collective problem-solving, while telepathic children helped everyone communicate across language barriers. Captain Minho Lee received updates about these schools during his regular reports to Earth. Each success story reminded him why humanity had chosen cooperation over conquest. Madam President, he reported during his weekly call with President Song, the education programs are exceeding all expectations. Children who grow up learning from multiple species develop cognitive abilities that surprise even our best scientists. President Song nodded with satisfaction. Captain, we've just received interesting news from our deep space exploration teams. They've detected artificial signals from beyond the galactic edge. It appears there are other galaxies with intelligent life. Minho felt a familiar excitement. Are we planning to make contact? Eventually, President Song replied. But first, we want to ensure that our galaxy has fully embraced the cooperative model. When we do meet other galactic civilizations, we want to approach them as a united community, not as individual species competing for advantage. As their conversation ended, Captain Minho looked out at Haven Station, now nearing completion. Representatives from over 200 species worked together in a harmony that would have been impossible under the old council system. The station would serve not just as a government center, but as a symbol of what beings could achieve when they chose partnership over domination. In his personal log that evening, Captain Minho wrote, 6 months ago, the Galactic Council ordered humanity to pay tribute or face destruction. Today, over 200 species have joined our alliance voluntarily, seeking the benefits of cooperation rather than fearing the consequences of resistance. The galaxy has learned that the strongest foundation for civilization is not fear, but trust. The human coalition continued to grow, not through conquest or tribute demands, but through the simple demonstration that working together created better results than working alone. And somewhere beyond the edge of the galaxy, new challenges awaited a unified galactic community that had learned to meet unknown threats with cooperation rather than division. Humanity's reply to the Council's demand for tribute had indeed shaken the galaxy. But more importantly, it had shown the entire galaxy how to build something better.